see.
Okay, that works.
Sorry. Never mind. That girl's good. If only I'd opened up the envelope first.
Oh, she has them?
Digital recorder instructions that I just dropped on the ground. Thank you, Ann.
What is,
Take one. These are the minutes that I was just asking about, because like I said, normally, if I had opened up the...
Thank you. He probably can hear you on the phone at the assessor's desk. Unless you want... Is that 10... What is the assessor's
look at
desk?
this, even an agenda.
Is it 108?
Norm, you can stop making copies. Norm, don't make copies.
I'm ready. It being 7:05, I'm going to call the Budget Committee to order here. And at 7:05, my agenda, thank goodness, and my secretary, although not here, has provided me with everything I need, says that it's the election of the chair. Any takers?
Make a motion, we nominate Tony Belair for chair.
Second.
Second.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
All right, we have a motion and a second to nominate me as chairman.
Will you accept it again?
Yes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
You can't vote, you have to abstain.
Next order of business are the minutes.
Do you appoint a vice chair?
Well, we did, the only time we did was my first year on the board 6 years ago, and we did co-chairs, and it was Ben LaBelle and Tim Pearson.
I've never known you not to be here.
You've never known me not to be here?
No,
Bex?
at the budget committee meetings, you're always here,
I think twice.
that I know of.
In a couple of years.
I don't remember you not being here, so. In that case, you would need one, but in your absence.
I'll nominate John Scanlon as a assistant.
Normally what I do is I just call John. John, take over.
Second.
We have a nomination and a second to elect John Scanlon as the vice chair. Is there any discussion? We'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Second. Whatever.
Second aye, whatever. Okay. All righty. Thanks, John. Okay. 7:10, Tim Pearson was able to join us. Thank you, Tim. Also, for the record, as our secretary is absent, I should note that all members of the Budget Committee at this time are here. Scott Davis, Bob Zott, Lynn Fox, John Scanlon, Jane Alden, and our ex officio, Kathleen Dawson. And myself, I was already nominated. I just want to make sure that Joanna has it in her minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
A correction on warrant article number 7. The bid that we received was for $80,450, not $85,408.
What page was that on?
Oh, they're not numbered.
During the discussion of Article 7, is it?
Yeah,
Third page.
third page,
Bottom third.
bottom down below where it said Mr.
Congalant.
Congalant.
What was that number, Scott?
$80,450 is the estimate that he handed out, not $85,408.
880050?
Yeah, $80,450.
80, comma, 450.
450. Any other corrections, any other comments? I make a motion that we accept the minutes as revised. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So moved. The next item on the agenda is a discussion on the special town meeting, which is coming up. I've been through it once, and now we're going to go through it again, just because we liked it so much the first time. Before we proceed with that, I just wanted to mention that during the town meeting, things were getting a little heated between the select board, the public, and the budget committee, and it made for a very stressful environment. And although it took me a little while to get my thoughts together and write a letter, I did write a letter addressed to Pat Constantino, the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, and I would just like the budget committee to know that I have done so, and I'm going to read the letter here so that everybody is aware what I have said. It says, "Dear Board, during the discussion of warrant article number 7 at the recent town meeting, there were a couple of comments made by the chairman of the Board of Selectmen that I considered to be unprofessional. At one point, without actually naming the budget committee member, the chairman used wording along the lines of, until one specific individual of the budget committee spoke with the business owner, this action was uncalled for as it singled out a specific person, making it a personal attack. On another occasion, while a budget committee member was at the microphone, the chairman commented only half under her breath, 'Oh yes, you would.' This was disrespectful and disrupted the speaker's remarks. These actions made by the chairman, along with the lack of communication from the Board of Selectmen regarding changes to the actual warrant article, added a lot of stress to an already charged atmosphere. It is my hope that going forward, the chairman and the rest of the Board of Selectmen will be more forthcoming with the information to the Budget Committee. It is my further hope that the chairman of the Board of Selectmen will refrain from personal attacks upon members of the Budget Committee." And I signed it sincerely, Tony Belair, Tilton Budget Committee Chairman.
I'd like to make just one comment on your letter.
Did I spell something wrong?
No, I've seen the letter, but since you've read it into the record, the part that talks about the warrant article, lack of communication from the Board of Selectmen, I just want to go on record as objecting to that. I viewed the tape of that meeting when it was first presented to the Budget Committee. And there was a lot of discussion, and I myself very clearly stated that that warrant article would be corrected or amended. There was a lot of conversation with Tom Gallant, especially with Lynn, as to the changes and specific changes we would make in that warrant article.
It would have been very nice if we had been given notice that the article had actually been corrected.
Well, it
That
is
was
my
not-
understanding, I didn't, once it was changed, bring it in, I wasn't here at that meeting, but it's my understanding that it was actually hand-delivered to the Budget Committee. But nevertheless, the Budget Committee was very aware that it was going to be changed. And at town meeting, especially, the Budget Committee made it seem as though they were very startled and unaware that it was going to be changed.
We were not unaware it was going to be changed. We were unaware that it was going to be changed so that it didn't reflect the reality of the scope of the project. Our understanding was that it would be brought up, as is the right way to do this, brought up to the total amount of the renovations that are going to be done, and then said that anything that can be offset with grants will be. That's how those, that's
And I would agree with
the
Lynn.
crux of the
Well,
issue.
it was changed. It was not changed against the law. I mean, the law allowed us to make those changes.
When I did not
And the
say that it
warrant-
was not
and the-
allowed.
And the warrant came out a week before town meeting with that in it. I just want to say that I just think that that's been mushroomed, let's say.
When we had our budget hearing, this is what was given to us on our hearing by Mr. Gallant. He brought this in. You, Catherine, sat there and said you had never seen this. But yet you said at the first hearing that you were the one that brought this forward. And my question to you was, if you brought it forward, you said you never saw this.
I
It was
did
right
not.
in the tape.
I did not see that document.
I know, but this is what was given to the Budget Committee, and Mr. Gallant sat over there and said, Tony was 100% right, that the work that was being proposed could not be done for $20,000, and that this was the actual amount. And it was 80,000 some odd was brought to the Budget Committee.
That's not the issue.
No,
That's,
but what the issue is we never took a vote because, if I remember right, the chair said we couldn't take a vote because as the article was written, we couldn't support it or deny it because there was very much confusion. And the question that I had to you, Catherine, it seemed like this came from an outside group and not the Board of Selectmen. And why wasn't it petition warrant article as opposed to a warrant article coming from the Board of Selectmen? Because there was a lot of confusion about that.
it came from the chat committee to the Board of Selectmen.
No, it was brought forward, you said you brought it forward, Catherine.
It was given to me to bring to the Budget Committee.
That's right.
I didn't bring it to the Board of Selectmen. That's what I said. And my point here is that this whole thing, and at town meeting, I mean, it made it seem as though there had been absolutely no communication about this warrant article. The Budget Committee had no idea it was going to be changed, because quite frankly, knowing that it was going to be changed, at your second public hearing, why didn't the Budget Committee ask for it?
Because it was at the second.
So it was changed, you did get the revised.
That quote
It was at the second
was at the
meeting.
second
At the
public
second.
hearing.
Is that when Tom...
And you know what
Gallant-
bothers me on this,
Yes.
Catherine, when I
Just
read...
a-
Can I
mean,
just finish up, though? What bothers me is, if you're fixing up a building, and this quote was given to us, and it says right here, "Remove the existing metal roofing which has exceeded its useful life and replace it with standing seam metal roofing." Why would we put money into a building if it's got a bad roof and it's going to leak into the building? It makes no sense.
That part
That's
doesn't-
redundant.
No, but I'm just saying.
It's redundant.
But that's what was given to
That is redundant
us.
to this conversation.
It's, all I want to say is that when, at the end of the second public hearing, the Budget Committee was under the impression that it would be amended on the floor because it could not be amended prior because it was already in there. That was the impression that I was under, and so when it was brought forward with the same dollar amount, it was not noted that the...
And that's what I'm trying to make clear. At that, and I'm sorry, forgetting which was first or second, but at the public hearing that Tom Galena
That
was
was the
here and
second
spoke to
public
it,
hearing.
I said that it would be amended,
Right,
and I asked him to help us correct it.
right, but we...
Not at the floor. I mean, it was very clear, if you, and I welcome you all to watch the tape. It's very clear on the tape that that was not going to take place at town meeting. And I have been told that it was hand-delivered after it was corrected to the Budget Committee.
It was not.
We didn't meet
February
after that.
21st.
Hand-delivered?
It was emailed to, Joyce has the timeline. It was emailed to the Budget Committee February 21st.
My mistake, it was emailed, but that you did receive it. But I'm just saying, I mean, again, see, we're having this discussion, and it's amazing to me that this kind of thing is mushroomed.
I was the one who stood up and asked about that contract, and I can remember when Mr. Gallant presented that, we had something for $20,000. He showed us, no, that's actually going to cost $80,000. And then I was under the impression, and I was told that it would be amended to reflect the $80,000. When we went back to town meeting, this is the complete understanding that I got. I don't know what other people got. When we went to town meeting,
the tape.
and we received a copy of a thing for $20,000 that did not include all the things, that's when I stood up and I asked about that. And he had no idea what that contract was for $80,000.
You need to watch the tape.
I can tell you that this is my
Just
opinion.
watch the tape, that's all I'm asking.
Definitely
Watch
a
the tape.
misunderstanding, because I also...
You got to watch the tape.
How many
because-
people here were
$80,000
misunderstood?
I thought it was 80,000, that's what was being
I thought
presented
the
that night.
warrant
I think
article was
that's
going to be
what
amended to
came in.
$80,000.
So I'm going to draw a
It's
close to
gotten out of hand.
to this conversation. The Budget Committee, and it seems like we are pretty unanimous, we thought the dollar amount was going to be changed, not the wording. And when that wasn't there, it didn't happen. So
Well-
I'm going to move on to the things that are important here, which is the special town meeting. I have given everybody a packet here at this table. Somewhere, I have a copy for myself, right? It starts with a copy of my letter to the board requesting copies of all contracts and documents pertaining to the development of 61 Business Park Drive. This request includes contracts between Mr. Nickerson and the town of Tilton, Home Depot and the town of Tilton, any documentation regarding to any and all uses of a right-of-way and or emergency access road to Route 3. We're also requesting any and all documentation relating to development of 61 Business Park Drive as the town police department, as well as standalone option of bringing town water to Business Park Drive. A complete copy of the cost estimate of converting the property to 61 Business Park Drive and into a police station should also be included. We would like this information prior to our next meeting, scheduled for April 13th, 2011. Under New Hampshire Right to Know laws, this type of information is normally due within 5 days of the initial request. We therefore request your prompt response to this request. We had a response, and the scope of everything over years is a lot of information for looking at the development of 61 Business Park Drive as the police department. I made arrangements with the chairman of the select board, Pat Cosentino, and came in with me, Jane Alden and John Scanlon, went through the paperwork that Pat was able to provide from her documentations, and those documents that I have been able to obtain, as well as any emailed information, the original letter of offer from Nickerson, the signed approval, of signed agreement between Nickerson and the Board of Selectmen in regards to cost sharing are in here. There's some of the estimates that we were looking at are in here that are outlined in the brochures that we were handed out at town meeting and stuff that was also presented at the public hearing, the original public hearing back in January. I think it was January 10th or January 11th. Some of the papers, including Owen's notes that he had handed out, his introduction, basically his spiel, is all in there as well. And I've started going through. It is a lot of information. It is not as complete as I would like it to be. I personally would like details and documents of every estimate, but that's not necessarily how it came out of the Life Safety Building Committee, because some of the estimates are all tied in a cost per square foot from the architect, and they're not given out as individuals. The way, I think, Catherine, you explained to me that it was kind of, they have basic procedures for coming up with their estimates.
Yeah, they have really gone to the expense of getting those types of estimates. They don't have a construction document for one, so it's hard even still to get people to bid on things that haven't been engineered. Architects and engineers typically have a book. They just open it up and has the prices of the day, lineal foot for concrete, per yard, et cetera, per ton, and their generalized prices. And that's what they use to get you this rough estimate. Typically, I find the estimates from architects at this point are probably, I'm going to say, a little high. And they do that to err on the side of caution, obviously.
I have spent some time personally going through this information. I have notes and comments and stuff that I've been trying to get my thoughts together for the special town meeting. Special town meeting's the 21st. It's a week from tomorrow at 6:30.
6 o'clock, is it
6
not?
o'clock? 6 o'clock. Good thing.
6:30 is the public hearing.
I'm sorry?
6:30 is the public hearing tomorrow.
Tomorrow here, yes, and that's, I was going to mention that as well. Tomorrow night, there is a scheduled Life Safety Building Committee public hearing as well. Can you tell us if there has been any changes to any of the documents and stuff that they have presented to us already?
The presentation has changed, the documentation as far as numbers and no.
John had sent out a letter requesting information on the tower, not needing a tower. Do we have that information yet?
I, Thursday morning, got a document from the Water District that concurred with the figures I had been given over the phone. It's an actual photocopy of the flows, et cetera, et cetera. That's been submitted to the sprinkler people, and they concurred there's no tower necessary for 61 Business Park Drive.
Can I get a copy of that?
It is right this minute. I got it Thursday morning and then promptly got on an airplane and flew to San Francisco, so I dropped it off here. And I didn't wait for a coffee.
If we could get that, PDF and emailed to our STAD, to the file, that would be great. Everybody knows what I'll be doing this weekend. Working on this stuff. Okay. Is there any other comments that anybody else would like to make?
Tony, I have a couple of comments. In regards, this is the folder or the flyer that they were giving out, I guess the life safety. Did the taxes pay for this? Town taxes?
That wasn't by the Life Safety Committee.
Yes, it was.
I believe it was a private
It says Life
citizen.
Safety Building Committee right on it.
So the Life Safety Committee created the flyer with donated monies.
I guess a concern that I have is a couple of
I know that the town never received a bill to have it printed.
facts in there. It says that the town has been studying the increasing needs of the PD since 1996.
Yep.
I spoke with former Chief Charlie Chase, and he does not remember ever looking at the needs of the PD while he was chief, and he was chief up until 2002, when he retired. He does not ever remember that. The other concern I have is the $153,101. I asked Tim for a breakdown of that cost, and he provided it to me. It's got fire services study. That was Article 15 in the 2007 town meeting. And that was amended to see if the town will vote to appropriate $20,000 for the purpose of hiring a consultant to study how to better serve the fire protection needs of all of Tilton through possible regionalization of fire services. I have no idea how you put that in as a PD expense into this line. The other question I have, it says that the Life Safety Building Committee has spent $61,274. They were authorized in 2009 through Article 5 for $50,000, and in Article 6 in 2010, they brought in at 20, but it was amended to $10,000, gave them a total expenditure of $60,000. Where's the other money coming from?
I'd have to have what you have in front of you, because
Well, Tim
quite frankly,
presented that.
you read it a little
email.
fast, so I couldn't follow you.
It says that they've spent, Catherine, it says the budget is $65,754. I don't know where $65,754 comes from, because the only authorization that the legislative body gave that committee was in Article 5 in 2009 for $50,000, and Article 6 in 2010 for $10,000, for a total of $60,000, not $65,754. So,
Well, there'd be some donated monies for that flyer you've got in your hand right now, so I don't know what other donated monies they might have gotten.
Jane, can I?
I don't know, but it's not saying that.
And quite frankly, without sitting down with Tim and his stuff, I can't answer that question for you. But if the figures came from Tim, I'm not sure why they wouldn't be correct.
Well, I think, number one, to add the $20,000 is misleading to the public.
Well,
When
when
it's
they
fire
became a
services.
life safety committee, which I believe
That's not
was
what
in
this, they're just
2009.
talking PD here, Catherine. Police.
They were charged as a life safety committee in 2009, don't they?
That was in 2008, this article, for fire services study. The article was actually passed at the 2007 meeting
Right.
minutes.
And I think that-
Article 15.
aren't the figures you're challenging, don't they total come from 1996 forward?
No, 2006. It's right here.
Well, I don't have that, Scott, so I
2000.
can't, is it in here?
Do you want to look at it?
I don't think it was any part of the...
No.
Yeah, so
No,
I mean,
it
I
was-
can't sit here and read what you have, so you have a disadvantage over me.
Tim, where did this come from? Can you explain?
I'll have to look into it.
Would you like to look at this copy? Because this is what Tim had emailed me. And the other question I have, there was an article in the Sun on the 23rd of March, and Michael Kitch was the reporter, and he put in there, the town has paid $165,000 to settle lawsuits arising from the conditions of the existing station, which among other things fails to comply with the American with Disabilities Act. I'd like to know what we've been sued for on that building, I guess. That was in the article, in the newspaper.
Extras.
Thank you. That's just, yeah, did they get copies? I do have extra copies if you guys wanted the stuff that I had, I've the right to know stuff that I collected. I do have extra copies if any of you want. See, I thought of you guys too.
Tony, did you want? I didn't notice.
Yeah, I'll take one. Or I'll just put it with the stack. The only thing that's missing is the backside of this, the backside, what Scott was just talking about, is just not, when I photocopied it, I didn't photocopy both sides of that. I just put it through one way. Did you get one of these?
Was this supplied to the Budget Committee? I'm just curious. Beforehand or just tonight? This is the first time we've seen this?
No, I asked where this figure came from, because this was on the town's website. And so I just inquired, where did this $153,000 came from, Jane?
Thank you.
Because it was an exact amount. It wasn't like we spent roughly $150,000. It was $153,101.
My question to the Budget Committee is, does anybody feel as if their position on the warrant article, as far as whether the Budget Committee should vote for or against this, I mean, it's already published as the public, but, you know, we already know, but when it comes to time to stand up there and say yay or nay, how we feel about this item, is there, you know, does anybody feel like I should get up there and say, we've changed our minds? We think that you should go for it with gusto. I don't think that I would want to say that in any size, shape, or form, but I'm just asking the committee.
Well, I will speak to that, since the reason we're having this meeting is me, so. The reason that I called for reconsideration, and I still think it was the right thing to do, was a very close vote, and I have to allow the possibility that my opinion is not necessarily the right one. And I think this is a really important issue for our town, and I also hope that at a special town meeting we'll get more than 150 people to decide this for the town. And that was my thinking when I called for reconsideration. I still hope it, and I will continue to hope it and see what happens on the 21st. I still don't think that 61 Business Park Drive is a good location for a police department for our town. But again, I have to accept the possibility that my opinion is not correct. So when the vote was so close, I thought, well, it's worth continuing to discuss the issue. I also think that we have a lot more information here, owing to your hard work in getting the information for us, that gives us a clearer view of the real outlay that we're going to have to put a police department up there. And I hope it's defeated again, but I'd like to hope that more people will be making the decision than what I consider as a very few people. So that's my feeling and the reason I called for reconsideration.
Budget Committee, did we support the water line? I believe
It never came to an issue.
Well, the water line separate from the police station passed, but basically on a split vote. Not everybody on the committee felt that it should be, that it should go through without the police station. I, for one, don't think that it's really time for bonding any money like that. Others believe that, it will help to improve the value of those properties up there enough that it will make them more saleable. I have questions as to whether the town should be making something more saleable for somebody else. I mean, we'd be paying 50% of the cost to better those properties for somebody else, as much as they'd be paying 50% of the cost to bring the water line up to us. And yeah, okay, future, we may get that, but if there's not enough water pressure, if there's enough water pressure for 61 Business Park Drive, great, but when those buildings start getting developed, if there's not enough water pressure then, and somebody else they do their study and they realize that they're going to have to put in a water tower in order to keep the pressure up there, what's going to make that more valuable for them? So I still personally have issues with just even putting in the water line, but it did pass. The Budget Committee did put we recommended vote on it.
Why does Article 4 have betterment written into it, but Article 3 does not?
Kevin?
The wording, when this is a betterment issue on the water line. The water line, I assume, is included in the $2,700,000 article. And it's clearly stated that it's going to be a betterment issue with the document, and it's in Article 4, written in as betterment, but Article 3 has no wording of betterment at all. And my question is, why is it not in there if this is this is actually going to be a betterment for the water line, which is included in Article 3?
I would guess submission, Joyce?
Did you ask? My hearing.
Do you have any?
You had a question?
Oh, yes, that was purely an oversight on my part, and that was later pointed out to me after town meeting, that the wording should have been identical in terms of betterment in 3 and 4.
So I assume that'll be amended on town floor to read that?
If depending on what happens to the warrant articles as they go along.
No, but I mean, Article 3, I imagine we're going to vote on Article 3 first, just as we did, because of the way it's set up.
I would suspect that the moderator would have it work that way.
So I would imagine that Article 3 would be amended to include the word betterment then, so we don't have any misunderstanding.
Will that make a difference, whether it says betterment in the warrant article or not? Because that's a, you know...
That's what we're talking about with the water line, and it was
Right, merely-
presented...
yeah, that's
It was
merely the
presented
way
that it was going to be included in the $2.7 million article, right?
That's the way the money will be paid back to us for betterment. So, I mean, most people, everyone I think that was there at town meeting is well aware that Nickerson's will be paying half the cost, plus the engineering.
Well, I think something that needs to be explained, because I've had a couple
That's just the
people...
method in which he will be paying it back.
A couple people have asked me, and until just recently, I did not know, is he coming up front with the money with his $300 and some thousand, or how is the funding being done? And I think that needs to be explained at town meeting, that it is through a betterment, because I don't believe that was ever explained to the people. How that was, whether he was going to be...
Quite frankly, I can't remember all the dialogue at town meeting.
No, but I'm just saying...
And this has been discussed so many times at public hearings.
Does it say anything in the agreement? I didn't remember seeing that anywhere in the agreement. Yeah.
Supposed to be in there.
It's in the
Yes,
agreement.
it's not in there. It should be in there.
Yeah, it is.
Here's an agreement.
No, I was just pointing out that the new signed agreement was in this.
It's, it's about a third of the way through.
Yeah, I put this stuff in kind of in the order that it came out with emails and stuff. There was a method to my madness. Everybody will know how
cost sharing
organized I
and
am now.
Here we go.
Okay.
Developer will be billed a betterment assessment by the town equal to 1/2 the annual cost of debt incurred by bond or long-term note secured by the town for construction and associated costs of the water line. Without restriction, the town may expand betterment bills associated with the water line to other properties which may benefit from the extension of the water line, subject, to tie-in payments and adjustments.
I thought that the total bond was $650,000, but only $620,000 was included in the estimate on the bond.
There is, you have to remember, we only bond what we need to bond. You don't know what the amount of the bond is. What we're asking for is authorization to bond up to a specific amount of money. We don't actually bond until we spend the money, because quite frankly, most often we do not spend all that we've acquired. We have a lot of projects. Silver Lake Road project. The warrant article in the annual report shows you that we're trying to get rid of some authority to bond on that. We could still borrow $300,000.
Please don't.
No, absolutely not. But that's my point, is we didn't use up all our authorization to bond, and we typically don't. You can play let's make a deal all the time this is being built to save money.
I voted for putting the water line in originally, and I have serious second thoughts, and I cannot vote for it. I can't rescind what I said, or my vote, but everything in here refers to supplying a water line. Nothing says to supplying water at adequate supply at 61 Business Park, which means if we need to get a water tower we have to pay for it. I can't go by anything other than what's in writing, and everything says a water line. It does not say that there will be water to supply fire suppression needs and for water at 61 Business Park. It only says to
Provide
provide a water line. And I can't find anything. If somebody could point out where it says that we will have the water at 61 Business Park Drive,
You have to
I would do that.
remember something. We have figures from the Water District, a copy of their report of the flow, the static, everything that comes up to the point of, I believe it's the hydrant on 132. Remember that Casey Nickerson is paying engineers as we speak to design that system. The estimate came from a lot of different places. The engineers that Casey Nickerson is using are the same engineers that, when they were looking to bring water into that, designed, if you will, a system. Okay? The Water District has improved their system. The sprinkler people have looked at it and given us an estimate based on the Water District's figures. We do not need a water tower to have adequate flow for the system. You remember that there is a well there as well for that building. But to sprinkle it and to make it more valuable, the lot next to it especially will become more valuable, and we'll get more money to sell when we sell. And we really do, I think, want to sell that vacant piece. So, I mean...
Everything just refers to putting a water line in. Nothing I have ever seen says that we will have adequate water supply at that address. It all refers to putting a pipe in.
Well, I'll tell you
It doesn't
quite
say-
frankly, if we didn't get adequate water there, it would be because the Water District's information was incorrect. But again, remember, the engineers, as we speak, are basically designing that system. The estimate that they have for the size of the pipe is, what I've been told from fire sprinkler people, probably overkill. But when you start reducing the pipe, you reduce your PSI. So I don't think that...
No, you do not reduce your PSI. Your pressure stays the same. Your static pressure stays whether you have a 2-inch line or a 10-inch
Well,
line or a 16-inch.
that's not what they have said.
Well, I serve as a water commissioner. I know that's not true, Catherine.
Well,
Your water pressure, it's the flow
I gotta
that
try-
changes. Your flow
Okay,
changes,
then maybe
not your
that's my
pressure.
mistake, the flow changes, I knew something to, but the point is, when we have the final engineering report, that'll tell you the story, won't it? I mean, the town would not.
What happens if the engineering report comes through and says, this is not going to be good?
Well, the selectman isn't going to vote to put it through. What good, I mean,
The engineering
That's redundant.
report will come to the Water District, and then the Water District's engineer will review and go through all the details of the engineering report before it's signed off on, before it's approved. And I can tell you that the sprinkler company, with what they're using for a backflow prevention, does not meet the specs of the Water District. And we have filed in the last 2 years a backflow prevention program, which we had to file through DES. And the backflow prevention that is mentioned there is not what we approve for our water system. So, and that's for water safety. So I do know that the type of backflow preventer that they listed.
and that...
We have a YPZ is the only one we'll allow.
Fire sprinkler company, it's just giving us an estimate based on the figures we got from the Water District. Again, we have to have the engineering report, as Scott says. But remember, this is what we're asking at town meeting.
If it doesn't happen, if, let's say that the town meeting authorizes the police department, the PD, full boat, means water line PD going through, going up to 61 Business Park Drive. The engineer's report comes through and it says, ain't gonna happen this way, you're gonna need a tower. Will the selectmen then reconsider putting in the line and just drop it, put a water tower up? Or will that just cancel and annul? Because basically, it's my understanding that you're gonna start building, doing the building work right off. Because I asked about timeline on that, and it was told that that the building could be started immediately, and it didn't have to wait for the water to come through. So,
Building construction doesn't have to wait for the water to come through, but again, there's no construction blueprints. There's a process that's going to have to take place. There isn't even any bidding. No contracts have been drawn out. There's a process that's going to have to take place before any hammers hit nails in that building. I can only speak for myself. The rest of the selectmen are here. But if the engineering report comes through, and it's gone through the Water District's engineers, and it's not going to work, you have to remember, we were asking for a price that's not to exceed. Okay? Not to exceed. So we couldn't do anything to exceed what town meeting has authorized us to spend. Quite frankly, personally, if it comes through and there's no water line, I'd want to have a public hearing well publicized. I'd have to have a lot of information before I moved forward with water. We don't have to sprinkle the building. We don't have to, but ethically, we're going to have officers in there, our people working in there, we should sprinkle the building. The building's going to be more valuable if for some reason it discontinues as a police station. I can't imagine why it would, but I think it should be sprinkled. The property next door is going to be more valuable with municipal water. But I would, if that comes through and it's not doable, and I'd be very shocked because the first Proven and Lober engineering report to Ken Money was doable. I don't know why this one wouldn't be, since the district has improved its flows. But if it does, that would be a giant leap backwards to take a look at the project. Yeah, for me.
and Money had that done as well?
I have an estimate that came from Proven and Lober to run a water line through there for them. That was for Nickerson. Yes.
Nickerson had it done a while ago, is what you're saying, and was that when Ken owned?
That never went through Stantec, though.
No.
So you don't know whether it's what it should have been or what it should not have been.
Well, at the time, it was correct.
No, it never
From
went through
Proven and Lober.
Stantec. From the
those
the
engineers.
design engineer, but not from the Water District engineer. And, you know, what
Well, I
happens.
could never find out what Ken Money did beyond his receipt of it.
I'll ask him.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be interesting. I mean, at this point, it's a do-over. That's why Guy Nickerson took up the cost of it, because it is a do-over. It's a different system.
Pat, did you have something you wanted to add? I saw you.
Also, too, a point to look at is that in the agreement, although the first agreement didn't have this, the second agreement does, that it's capped at $650,000, which means that the cost to the town is maximum $325,000. Anything above and beyond that, Nickerson picks up the cost of that. Nickerson would not have gone through with that type of an agreement had he not already talked with his engineers, Coleman and Mueller, and been assured that we could have adequate.
This is a great deal for him. He gets 50% of the water line up to 61 Business Park Drive, paid for by the taxpayers. I wish I had that
And in
deal.
that agreement, it does say they won't pay more, but
If they hit ledge, it costs $750,000, and the town pays the $325,000, and that's it. Nickerson picks up the rest.
you know, I go back to
Did we
the
bring
same...
this to legal to
Who
have
signs
somebody
the
review it?
contract for the construction company? Who signs the contract for the construction company? The town, or is it him?
Or is it joint?
We do.
So how does the town sign a contract that says that it's not liable if because on any contract, you're going to have they're going to have, we've just done it with the West Main Street project, that if they hit ledge, that it was extra, if they hit this, it was extra, if they had to do this, it was extra. You have all these extras that they try to add on as they're doing the project.
Well, what it says in
They're
the,
responsible for the additional costs. I just don't understand how that's going to play out.
well,
It's being stated.
it says in the agreement with Nickerson here, it says, whereas developer will pay for any additional or unforeseen costs associated with the construction of the water line identified here, and if total construction associated costs are greater than $650,000. I mean,
But who's to say that he has that money then?
well,
What I'm stating.
that's
I mean,
true.
if you go out to bid and the town signs a bid and awards a bid to a construction company, and in that construction, they run into things that was not discovered in setting up and doing the engineering, doing your borings and stuff, and then it comes back and it says, okay, the original bid was X amount, but the cost is going to be X plus.
So what you're saying is
Okay,
we would
and-
then be in a position where we'd
and-
have to recoup costs from him, and
Yeah,
heaven knows whether he'd
and
have
just
it.
saying, what gives the town guarantee that the money's actually there, that he actually has the money?
And it's done by betterment, and we'd be taking properties.
We're going to do a betterment for half. You only have authorization to bond $650,000. If that company comes back and says that now the cost is $800,000, there's $150,000 extra needed, where's the money going to come from if he doesn't have it? That's my question. With this
Get blood
agreement.
from a stone is what you're saying.
Yeah. That's my question.
Those are going to have to be things that are,
Quite frankly, those type of things, in a project of this size, there's going to be a lot of those types of incidences, but we'll have to sit down, if the project is bruised, and as you go forward and deal with them.
But you know as well as I do, Catherine, that if a construction company has money due to them, they're going to go after the people with the deepest pockets, and that's going to be the town. That's
Well,
who they're going to
this
sue, because the town has signed on to
I
the
agree with
project.
you, so I'm
So
sitting here
my
thinking
concern as a
that-
with the
taxpayer,
town.
are we getting ourselves in a situation that we don't have all the information for the finances on the other side?
I think you brought up a good point, so I'm writing here a note about perhaps there's some way of getting a bond from Nickerson up front.
Something's got to be done to protect the taxpayer.
That's a good point.
All righty. I'd like to finish up. I think we all are going to go with what we have, what we've said before in regards to this. I do appreciate the time that Pat and the Select Board have spent with me so that I could dig out this paperwork, so that I can have it and be able to go through and provide all this. Hopefully that others find the items that are in there informational, that it helps people pull their minds around it, everything from having the contracts, which in a way, I'm really glad that there's that contract. I'd love to see the Home Depot contract.
It's the total portion of the towns for that water line.
Just it's another one of those things, is locking in these things to make sure that that everything is all lined up. I want the taxpayers to have
Close to $6 million.
the facts and the truth and firm information that can be, is basically set in stone for them, so that, they can't, 2 years down the line, we don't come back here and say, oh, but we were supposed to have this, and what happened to that, and we don't have it, and what do you mean we can't put a the emergency access road? Not that I really think we need an emergency access road. I went out there the other day, and I don't see how anybody would have that road totally blocked off, 61 Business Park Drive, so the police couldn't get through there, and it's...
We hope that the police aren't at the station all the time waiting. That
Exactly.
they'd be around
They're not
the
there
town.
most of the time. I would hope that there would be cruisers out and about anyway, so not everybody would be trapped in the PD building, and unable. And if it's an accident right there, isn't that going to be great? Because the police will be right there to respond.
A few of the figures I'd like to just put out, because this was emailed to us, the estimated cash flow by year.
Yeah.
On the existing building and land that we have up there, when we make our payments, and I know we've made
some payments on that already, but if you add up everything that's put here, it comes to $2,038,461. If you add up what's proposed for the water line, the town share is $454,140. And if we add up the total for the build-out of the 61 Business Park Drive, for the PD, a little over 10,000 square feet, total principal and interest on that is $3,124,100, and you put them all together, you come with $5,616,701, plus whatever we paid for the two payments. That's what we'll have in as far as principal and interest.
What was that number again, Scott?
Construction is,
$5,616,701.
what did you have for the water?
Water is 400, the total principal and interest on what the town share would be $454,140.
How many years do you have?
30 years. That's what they're looking at funding it for.
Do you have 12 to 41?
At 4 cents a thousand.
2012 to 2041?
Yep, 2041.
Pass this down to him. First two columns. My numbers don't match yours.
Oh,
The one does.
this is what came out from,
Yeah, I know,
it was emailed to us.
Rewrote it.
And
Are my numbers wrong?
Yeah, and I added it up 3 times, and that's what I came up
Do I
with.
have, are my numbers wrong there is what I'm asking?
Yep.
I thought I went,
Yeah, you don't have,
am I missing some of the payments?
Yep.
Because I redid it, so I could...
yeah, you're missing some of them, you don't have as many years carrying it out that far.
Thank you.
So the total, I just wanted to bring to the Budget Committee's attention that the total, if we do that project, principal and interest is $5,616,701 plus whatever we've already paid up there, and I don't know what we've paid for the first couple of years in payments at 61 Business Park Drive.
Because you're adding in the price of the land as well into that.
Yeah, I'm adding what's going to cost the town. Yep.
But you're projecting if we spend the entire bond?
Well, that's what was given to us, Catherine. I'm just going off what was projected
Yeah,
to us.
that would be based off of a 205 bonded.
I haven't had really studied
With
this.
the,
That one's on the lead.
I mean, we've already, the existing building, we know it's $1,590,000, that's a known. So,
okay.
Did you figure out if you absolutely do nothing and it doesn't pass in 30 years what the building will have cost us just doing nothing?
cost us $2,038,461. That's what we'll have wrapped up between now and the time we pay off the building, principal and interest, plus our first 2 payments. So we'll have probably $2.3 million in it, probably $2.2 million. Because I think our payments are $160-some thousand a year. I know we've made at least one full payment on it, so.
Well, the top one here for 2010 is 176, and then the next one's 168. So, according to what we have here. Okay. We know that it's going to cost us a lot of money with everything, with bonding, because you're not just paying because you are paying the interest charges on top of the actual cost. It'd be really great if we had a savings account, we saved all that money and then we did it.
That would be
get
almost
0.5%
cruel to the
interest.
taxpayer.
You think so?
If you tried to save up all that money over
I'd
the
be
years
dead
in a
before it's
reserve
done.
account that gets what, 0.02% on reserve? That would be using people's
just wanna
money
put it-
badly.
I want
all
to
be
put it in
gone.
the reserve fund.
That's the same
Oh,
thing.
this is using their money badly. I'm
just
spending
not in color.
for every dollar, I'm spending
different from
another
this.
one for interest.
No, I print it out in color.
Its interest is going up, so we better do it.
All right.
Right.
Okay, I think we're good there. Let's see. That was 61 Business Park Drive. This was all 61 Business Park Drive. We're done with that. Somewhere I have an agenda. I buried it.
Project TNS.
Got it. This is my agenda. Has my notes on it. That's not the right one. And now I need my glasses, because I can't read anymore at this point.
Yeah, they never took the money. They didn't take the money, but they want it.
Project TNS, back, March 29th, I received an email with attachments from Joyce. The Board of Selectmen asked that I forward a copy of this email to your attention to share with the Budget Committee. I shared it with the Budget Committee, but I think I shared it a couple weeks later. Sorry. If you refer to the unaudited proposed budget on the town report, you will see that Project TNS shows only 50% of the 2010 appropriation expended. I remember seeing that. We wanted to make the committee aware that Project TNS did receive the balance of the appropriation for 2010. They were paid around this time. Is that correct, Tim? That they were paid in March, Project TNS?
The second payment, yes.
Yeah, to cover up for 2010. Yeah, to complete the payment for them for 2010. Even though we are now into 2011, they had gotten legal counsel and talked to their auditor, and it was ascertained that it would be proper and appropriate to pay that out, even though we had gone into the next budget year. So that has been done, and I just wanted people to be aware, as we've gotten this, that had been done. So if you see that on any of the reports in the future, you can have your mind be jogged and know that that's what was going on. I'm very glad that Project TNS did receive this funding, as we did have them be cut from the budget. We had asked them that where this was an after-school program, that they go to the school for funding of this rather than coming to the towns, and the school had denied their funding, and by the time they had gotten any of that information, it was beyond our dates for putting in anything new, and so we did not consider them.
It came out of 2010 money, correct?
This did, it came out of 2010 money,
Yeah,
but for 2011, for this year,
Right.
nobody
But
has financed them.
Right.
So they'll be very limited in the scope of what they'll be able to do at the school. And at one time, my son was involved in the program, and it was very helpful, and I know that the kids need programs like that at the school. But they should be financed through the school. Sorry it didn't get funding that way. Okay, now I still had an agenda, didn't I? The next item on the agenda is the financials, the town financials. Normally, at this point, we would go through our exception reports and our details of expenditures, and review what has been spent, and making sure that items, if they're being overspent, if they're being spent down quickly, that we have some explanation, or at least have people know that we're keeping an eye on it, and that, we're doing our job, and we're trying to watch these lines. As part of RSA 32, just so that everybody knows, our big deal is to prepare the budget, help prepare the budget, get costs and all that kind of stuff. But a little known portion of Chapter 32, my first year, we didn't meet. The first meeting, I was elected back in March, and then we didn't even meet until October. So it was only after I started that the committee that was formed then started meeting on a monthly basis in order to review expenditures. Section 32:22, review of expenditures. Upon request by the Budget Committee, the governing body of the town or district, or the town manager or other administrative official shall forthwith submit to the Budget Committee a comparative statement of all appropriations and all expenditures by them made in such detail as the Budget Committee may require. The Budget Committee shall meet periodically to review such statements. The provisions of this section shall not be construed to mean that the Budget Committee or any member of the committee shall have any authority to dispute or challenge the discretion of other officials over current town or district expenditures except as provided in RSA 3223. And 3223 is the initiation of removal procedures if we saw something that was failed to comply with other provisions and stuff that we felt needed to be dealt with. But that's where our what's the term I want to use? Authority, that's where our mandate, that's the word that I'm really looking for, mandate is at this point of our budget season. For the next 6 months, between now and October, when we get into having regularly scheduled weekly meetings again to build a new budget. One of our main items will be review of expenditures, and at some of the meetings, we'll ask town agencies, heads to come in. We've asked Highway to come in at times. We've asked the PD to come in at different times, and we've asked the Select Board to come in at times to just review facts, as to what we see going on a month-to-month basis, to just see where they are, where things may be exceeding or coming in better than the various departments had asked for. We will continue to meet monthly to do that on the second Wednesday of the month, and at our next meeting, we'll set up when Joanna's here and we can work with her, we will set up a time for the next few meetings to meet with the other department heads, the highway and the PD. I'm going to, before we get into tonight's review of these expenditures, I'm going to make a motion that we go into non-public session. And I ask this because I lost my notes, that's why.
This was on the second. You'll just have to, that's the language to use, and you would just do your own roll call names.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure how to, I'll just put, this is only on the following matters shall be considered or acted upon in non-public session per RSA 91-A:3, paragraph 2. This is under matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the body or agency itself, unless such person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to any application for assistance or tax abatement or waiver of a fee, fine, or other levy if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant. I ask this is because of the contentious nature of emails that had been asked for and addressed, and the information that could come out in here, which would be protected under right-to-know laws. So I am making a motion that we go into a non-public meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and as such, we need to follow the roll. Once again, I lost my paper. Somebody needs to keep me organized. Is it here? No. All right. Someday I'll be more organized. All righty, we'll start at the end.
You haven't voted.
No, that's what I was just going to write people's names down here. Scott Davis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bob Zott, how do you vote?
Aye.
Lynn Fox, how do you vote?
Aye.
John Scanlon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jane Alden, how do you vote?
Aye.
Kathy Dawson, how do you vote?
I have a question. Is it people in general, somebody in particular that should be here?
I just want to make sure that we don't say anything about anybody and I think that the only person that needs to be here would be Pat. She was supposed to gather information, and she might have other information.
Okay,
That's-
yes. I was just a little unclear. Thank you.
Good
Night, Joe.
Tony Belair says aye as well, so we have everybody is in favor. And again, I'm not sure how this works, but I would like Pat to say, but I would ask everybody else to leave.
I would ask the board of selectmen as a whole to stay, because we as a board made the decision. We as a board made all of the decisions in the emails and the right to know laws. So if it's regarding the right to know request, I would ask that the board as a whole stay.
I don't have any objection to that, because I think that I just wanted to, you're the only one that we that it might touch. You're the chairman, and I asked you, you called me, I asked for information, you would have it. Okay? I hope. All right, thank you.
You want us to go?
Be bound by the same
Get this, and you look at
derogatory.
no,
I
in the welfare for two.
I know.
I don't know, is there anything?
It was nothing that was.
She's good, but she's not that good.
I make a motion that we, there wasn't anything that should be.
You see, that was my
Talked
concern.
about,
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
And the place
I'm going to make a motion that, that the discussion, the non-public, minutes from the non-public discussion are sealed.
Second.
permanently.
What,
Permanently or-
Permanently sealed. Did you permanently second it?
I permanently second it.
Okay. I hope that covers us. Was there any discussion?
No, you just call the roll call again, I think, on that.
Is it a roll call?
No, you don't have to call roll call, you just call ayes.
Majority.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? So moved.
It has to be a roll call vote
Okay, we're good.
to seal the minutes.
Thank you, Joyce.
Okay, Scott,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Lynn,
Aye.
Aye.
John, Jane, Kathy,
Aye.
Tony, aye.
Behaving badly.
Okay. Minutes shall be sealed from the non-public session, permanently. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. Now,
Back out to financials?
we're back to the financials, other than the line item that we've already been discussing, because I don't think we need to go there anymore.
I have a couple of, I can bring them up when we get in there.
Okay. Scott, you have,
Underneath the, and I asked this before, underneath the building improvements, under PD, I know it's at 98%.
yeah, I have that questionable question, too.
Why is it so high, I guess, I want to know. They've almost expended the whole line.
which one, building?
Building improvements.
It's
Building
Page
improvements.
four, about halfway
yeah,
down.
halfway
Janitorial
down
and new
under PD.
uniforms.
Page 20,
Did you see the railing on that portion?
You mean the infamous place that they keep running into?
No, the railing.
This one right here, John,
yeah,
right here.
I was looking at it.
Why would we take that down?
Same line, 460, yeah.
Yeah.
From the amount, it looks like it was a
Under-
specific,
What's that?
This is under,
from the amount, it looks like a very specific
460,
project.
line number,
It said Home Depot in the other detail, but I don't see any.
460 building
I
improvements.
don't know.
A lot of painting, and there was counters bought for it. Make a makeshift desk in the control room instead of having it. They have files so that the patrol officers can come in and work and fill out the paperwork. And the room's all been cleaned.
So that pretty much expended that line out.
You know, it was only $400, so.
Yeah,
392.35, Home Depot, building improvement.
yeah.
So it all went to Home Depot.
The other question I have is on the PD on the page up above, page 3, the part-time wages. We've used 55% of the part-time, what we put in for part-time wages already.
130. Police department is the
130.
8th one down, 9th one down.
Yeah. On the part-time wages. We've had 10,000 in that line, and we've spent 55.35 for the first 3 months. We're going to be way over on that. We keep going at that rate.
Did we bring in new,
We have 15 part-timers, and they all started, and they all had 4 or 5 weeks of training. So they're all paid for 4 or 5 weeks of training. Now it would be staggered so that they will be filled in for the scheduling, so that it doesn't cause overtime in the budget.
okay, so we've had several weeks of training for each one of the new part-timers.
Right, and it came all at once.
And from here on out, they should be,
They're all on board, not
so they all can appear to cover shifts when necessary, but they would not necessarily continue to be all on at the same time as they were in training.
So we don't anticipate paying them more than $1,000 each for the rest of the year?
I do.
I mean, that's because there's 3 of them, and there's 44 left.
I didn't anticipate that.
So,
I think you'll see a transfer into that line.
Where do you think you'll take it from, the overtime line?
I hope so.
yeah.
Be up to the chief. This is the
makes-
chief's budget, so it'll be up,
Bring that overtime down.
this is the chief of police's budget. He'll have to tell us where.
Yeah.
So when we, next
meet.
month,
Yeah.
no, month, Lynn, we're not meeting weekly anymore.
Next meet. Next.
Don't say weekly. Next month, when we meet, we will ask Joanna to help us schedule the PD for the month after that. So we'll have another couple of months' worth of expenditures at that time, and hopefully we'll have a better idea as exactly where.
Another concern that I have is in the PD under gasoline and diesel. The last month was half of what they've spent for the year in 1 month. That is for 3 months, Tim, for the gasoline. The gasoline and diesel is for 3 months underneath the PD? It's only for 2? Or,
Total?
yeah. No, for...
No, the
for total.
month-to-date expense, the 24.92.
Month-to-date would be for March, right? Okay, and so when I'm looking at that, the $24.92, almost $2,500, is half of what they spent for the year, so in 1 month they spent equal to what they spent the first 2 months.
I think that's just because the prices went up. I mean, a lot of that is that
Is
prices
it
went up
gallons, is it more
precipitously.
gallons used, or?
I don't either.
I don't
Line
see
number
the
you on?
start, what line number?
615.
650, yeah.
615.
615.
615 on the PD, page 4.
Budgeted
Jane, halfway down.
20,000.
No,
only
it's
used-
20%. I think you probably mean the line above. I had that one, training materials.
No, I'm talking about the 24, the gasoline. If you look, the month-to-date expenditure for March was $24.92.18, Jane.
And they spent
And they've only
$5,000 in the
spent
year today.
$5,000 for the year, but they spent half in 1 month.
Half in 1 month, is
That's
what
what
he
my
said.
concern
okay.
is. If they go at that rate, they're going to be way over.
Yeah, but the cost went up. I think that's probably the
Yeah.
reflection of that.
That's a big, it didn't
That's a
go up
big
that
jump.
much.
It didn't go up that
No, I
much,
didn't
because
want
we
that
buy,
because they get the gas at
we
Northfield.
buy down at the, yeah. I mean, it did not go up that much.
I wonder if that's
There must
related
have
to
been
the
gallons.
investigation
Where's
expenses
the-
at 62%.
Is there
had
detail in here,
people on
Tim, on the
Moore Road.
gallons?
Yeah, it should,
We had an exorbitant amount of details last month.
Yeah, but details, the cruisers sit there.
idle.
Much that
But they don't
Have we
really
had a crime wave or something? We have 62% of our investigation expense
Yeah,
is
that's,
expenditure.
I don't know why they idle.
Well, I wonder if that's related to the gas usage. I don't know. Would we have detectives on the road or something?
I thought they just sat and watched.
Okay.
Maybe it's got it here.
Well, I know, but I'm just wondering if they're related, that we've used a lot of the investigation expense and more gas
We had
than
an
would be
officer
expected.
going to that training.
We have an officer that's going to training polygraph school.
Is he going back and forth, back and forth? Yeah, he would be.
We haven't paid the March bill yet, we'll come in
So that's only for 2 months then, Tim?
January and February.
Wow, we're going to be way over then on that. If we've only got 24,000 and you spent 5 in 2 months, 2,500 a month.
Good question for him, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's going to be 30,000 plus.
I always wanted
gas
to
isn't
see them
gonna
out there
down.
walking a beat.
Yeah, going to have to shut the car on. walk,
Promises.
Main Street, right?
We've got promises.
You know?
What about investigation expense? That's at 68.381. Why is that so high?
Yeah, that's what I asked. Did we have a crime wave that we don't know
Yeah,
about?
we've had a lot of,
Have we?
yes, drug busts.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
In Tilton?
And,
Well, they assist in Tilton, they start in Tilton.
Drive up to Franklin.
They also
Yeah, see, that's it.
That's
it. See this here?
Under the investigation.
can I just make I got an email here which was kind of confusing to me. I don't like to be confused. It happens easily, though. Hi, Tony, wanted to let the Budget Committee know that the town was served Friday. We are being sued. The document is here in town, and it pertains to the police and an arrest that was made. Thank you, Catherine. I wasn't sure it was really you that sent this.
I think, did it come from me?
No, it came from Kim. You signed it, but it has Kim's.
Oh, it came from Kim's desk.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting at Kim's desk. That throws me off. Because I'm in the selectman's email. Yeah.
So,
logged into the select.
but
What was that you just stated?
I was.
that it says
I don't know
that
how to go to her. Oh, maybe Cindy turned it on for me.
when it comes to investigative and not necessarily investigative expense, well, that's because we were talking about investigative,
Legal
which
expense.
That's
was
legal, 48%.
legal expenses, and we were talking about investigative, and this was as it pertained to an arrest. So I figured the two go hand in hand, that an arrest and legal kind of, be prepared for more.
Another one yesterday,
Another subpoena?
another arrest.
Oh, another arrest. They weren't at my house, I'm good.
Tim, do you have the amount of gallons that was used for the PD in March, if you don't have, if it hasn't been paid yet?
It'd be downstairs.
Okay, because I see it's 893 gallons here, and I assume that that's for the month of February then. The one that was in here at $2.78 a gallon.
I'm gonna really just wait as I
Every
drive
3
down.
years, they get a speeding ticket for going 6 miles over the limit. They appeal them.
Okay, we got the improvements, we got the investigative expensive, we got the legal expenses that are up there, we got gasoline. How's Dennis doing?
He's
Got new equipment, apparently.
got pretty
Oh,
heavy
yeah.
into the sand and salt, but,
Yeah, but we should be-
know about that.
And he purchased something, apparently.
Yeah, but he's got
You
the
know,
majority of his year behind him, because in the fall, he might have 1 month or month and a half, as opposed to, we had a tough winter.
We're hoping.
As far as most of the expenses that are overspent, or what I would consider to be overspent, so everything in this budget should be about 25%. We're 3 months in, so as long as we have everything current and up to date, each line should be spent at about 25%.
Can I bring up a concern that I have? I watched one of the selectmen's meetings online, and a concern, what are they going to do in regards to dumping snow? Because I know Joe's brought up that they're dumping it on the aquifer at the ball field, and then there was concerns about dumping it at Buffalo Park,
Which
was going into the aquifer, or going into the river, which...
The amount of trash that is being left behind in those piles of snow is amazing, because I live right next door to
But,
it. There's just an amazing array, too.
How are we going to address that? I mean, it's very, that comes off, I imagine most of that comes off Main Street,
All of it,
I would say.
think. Well, there's no...
Well, some of
I
it
mean,
might have come up on the side streets, because I know he was cleaning up on, like, on the corner.
Those are our town-owned properties. They're, unless we pay to haul it away, we don't
But I
have
mean,
any
it could
place
be
else to
very
dump it.
expensive, Catherine. I mean, to go elsewhere with that snow, I mean, your trucking is your expense.
Exactly.
There's no question.
We've been putting it on the ball field for years. Yes, the ball field sits over an aquifer, Tanger Outlet sits over an aquifer.
My concern with Buffalo Park, I will tell you the truth, because I live right next to there, is that we had absolutely no access to this winter, and I talked to Dennis about it, and he said, well, nobody uses it during the winter, but I can testify absolutely that a lot of people use it during the winter. We have snowshoers, and
walk my dog
there's some cross-country skiers, and I love to just walk in the snow, and I'm a photographer, so it's one of my favorite places. And the only problem I had, other than this amazing array of trash that's being left behind, but I assume the town will take care of that, is that they dump the snow in the way that there were 30-foot-high mounds of snow that I couldn't, and nobody could, access the park.
As part of the Conservation Commission, Chuck Mitchell went over and talked to Dennis about it, and it's all set. He just didn't really,
Didn't know people
they were
used
near
it during
there,
the
they
winter.
put it there, and
Well, it made
it's like,
sense
oh
to me
yeah,
when they
okay.
started dumping there. I thought, oh, that's somebody's thinking.
So-
And I know that
I
these
mean-
are
Run
all
across that
important
again.
questions,
Next year,
but
for
the budget.
they're not budget questions, and
Sorry,
I'd like to
sorry.
bring it back to budget.
Well, it's a budget, I brought it up for concern with the budget, because it could be very expensive for the
Well, we're
budget
gonna
if they
start
have to
putting-
go elsewhere to haul it. I just, I think it's something that needs to be addressed before we find ourselves in next winter.
Are
And
we-
it hasn't been addressed.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Are we going to get Dennis in here to speak to him about this? Because we have 100%, or just about 100% of his equipment purchases, and I know part of that was the...
I was going to ask Tim, the pickup truck,
Yeah.
and that was money that was left over from last year that was encumbered
Encumbered.
funding. That's what I thought,
Okay.
yes.
So he has nothing left in his budget if something like needs to be replaced on an
He'll
emergency
find it,
basis.
He'll
Well,
find it someplace, 'cause
We talked about that mower at the end of last year, too. There was only two big things.
okay.
Yeah, you'll see he has money in an equipment rental line that he hasn't used yet.
Okay. I just-
Yeah, but we'll have him come in as well.
Now, the old
Not at the
truck's
same
going to
time.
the auction, or what's happened with the truck that new pickup replaced?
Auction.
Auction. Is it better for the town to try to sell it outright before it goes to the auction, or is it better to go to the auction? I mean, we must pay expense at the auction, don't we?
I've always thought it would be better to sell it outright.
I mean, at least try. I don't know why this for sale sign's not put in till the auction. Usually the auction's down at White Farm there, sometime in May, usually they have the auction.
I think, quite frankly, it's a question of, no one wants to deal with that. You put it out there for sale, people stop, ask how much, dicker, no one wants to deal with that. And I just think, that's just my opinion, I don't know that to be true.
Especially like, I could see like a big Mack plow truck or something, like we got rid of the old Ford, that we got rid of the 84. I could see that there wouldn't be many people that'd be interested in that, but a pickup truck that has a plow on it, you might find somebody that wants it for their own use,
I mean, we should have a history of typically, what do we,
we get
what
more.
percent of a price do we get?
It all depends on who
I mean,
shows
we
up down
certainly
there.
know what we get for old cruisers, don't we?
So, just a thought.
Share it.
Could we advertise it in the paper as opposed to having an auction? And
Well, I think if anything, you could put it, you got great access down there at the highway department. If you put it out there, a lot of people would see it anyway.
Go to the expense of advertising.
Yeah, that would cut down the expense. For a sale sign isn't going to cost much.
Everybody will go by the dump.
Craigslist.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's a lot
We
of
don't
places.
budge.
use it for escort services, right?
Anything else, Bonnie?
Tim, with the, just refresh my memory if you would,
I took all
the health agencies, Child and Family Services, Community Action, CASA, New Hampshire Association for the Blind, these agencies that came to us for funding, and that we approved their funding.
He does a good job with it.
They're the small dollar amounts, are those amounts that as soon as they bill you, you will pay them out? Is that how that works?
Depends on if there's...
And that's only 2 months, we spent $5,000 out of 24,000.
That's 30 grand.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, that's over $3,000. It's gonna be over 3.
work on it every day otherwise,
24.
These are all, 500, 1,500, and it's not, they're small dollar amounts, so.
Yep. 19
I would like to make sure that everybody got
24 is used
their
49,
money.
almost 5.
We need to send out reminders at the end of
I think he used a lot
waiting
more
for
gallons. I think
invoices.
Tim said he used
Keep an eye on it,
1,100
and just
gallons
so that we don't run
this
into
next month. And you only used 860 over here.
project TNS again.
We don't have March. March, it went up 20.
I'd like to get the bills
In
paid and
March.
out of the way.
Used 8 in the detail here.
I don't worry about any of those, outside agencies. I can see that there's several of them that are looks like they're set up for quarterly payments, which is good. So, park agencies, same thing. Major.
Yeah, it's right here. So, here's 193
All
gallons.
right, does anybody else have any other questions or concerns about any line items in the operating budget here?
I think we're paying over, I think we're paying.
No? Okay, then. Wait,
Use 1,100 gallons, that's $3,300 a month.
they have an extra, because of the special meeting and because of the extra work that they're doing this year.
Why do we have so many moderators?
I don't know.
Yeah, but the trouble is, it sucks up our fuel and then it goes into that special revolving fund. That's why I said that they
Volunteers?
Which means, this is
offset that.
this time,
We pay the expense. Yeah. But they don't keep track of their fuel, how much fuel goes in.
This year, they've been told that they should be paid, and that's,
Well, it's always been on volunteer, when you get there.
You see this?
That's what I got, it's always been on volunteer. You would sign an assistant moderator.
That's the increase for our taxes.
Always, but then
The last estimate got the tax on
Well, the
No.
people that count
5.9 total tax bill.
ballot clerk, it's called, it's got clerk here.
counting the votes, standing votes, and counting in the ballot votes. That's always been volunteer. He would get a couple of people to do that. And it's never paid for it in the past, to my knowledge.
No,
This year, we
that's separate from the poll worker ballot counters, because we
Yeah.
got paid the one time I did that, but I don't know.
This is the people that stand up when you hold your hand.
Typically, the moderator
Oh,
will
assistant
hire
moderators?
an assistant moderator, and the reason he's there is if the moderator takes a break, or for some reason can't continue, the assistant moderator takes over the duties of the moderator. And then usually, I've been picked before to count, if we have a hand count, but I've never been given a title. Just, will you count
They
for me
never
today?
paid you
Yes,
to do
I
it.
will, Ken, I'll count for you today.
You had it, you just didn't know it.
I had that title. But I certainly wasn't paid for it, but each moderator does his own thing.
But there's 3 dates, 3/8, 3/11, and 3/12. One was the election, one was the town meeting.
Town meeting is the second Tuesday in March. We postponed the deliberative session of town meeting till the following Saturday. Both days are town meeting. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Not a special town meeting.
Charles,
we have one of those next week.
No,
No.
that's
Oh,
an
that's
extension of town meeting.
town meeting.
Oh, come on, I want to get that over
reconsideration.
with.
Sorry, don't.
I'm a little confused. Okay, so Chuck Mitchell is the moderator.
That's correct.
He earned $31, but Ken Randall, the assistant, got 47, and Senator Sanders got 196.
Pat Clark got 84.
Chuck Mitchell was
Chuck's getting it.
was reimbursed $31.51.
Did he get paid at all?
Reimbursement expense decision, election day.
Yeah, moderator isn't even getting paid in here, but
Right.
we have all these assistants.
We may not have gotten his for himself. He may not have put it for himself yet. I don't know.
Moderator, salary moderator.
Oh, okay. Where is it?
What line?
Be like him,
Up there.
take care of everybody else first.
11/12. I didn't have my glasses on, just wanted you to know.
There.
All right.
Yeah, that is getting up there, some of those.
Yeah.
Tony, can I just bring up one other item?
You sure can.
In the paper, there was an article back in March about what's going on down in Concord and the downshifting of cost to the towns. And I went online, it gave a website to go online, pull down for all the towns, and I pulled down Tilton, and it came up to, with everything, $564,400 of downshifting, which is an increase on our total tax bill, meaning school, county, everything, a 5.9% increase. And that being said, that would be $1.10.6, so almost $1.11 per thousand. So, in a $200,000 home, you're looking at $222 increase.
But that's an if.
That is an if, but
That's an if.
it's, the thing
We
of it
already
is...
won one.
Huh? What's that?
I said, we already won one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they killed her.
But you don't know what's going to come out. I mean, we know there's going to be,
Interest on taxes.
we know there's going to be downshifting of costs. There's no question about that. I mean, even, the governor came through with his proposal, and there was downshifting of costs in it. So to think that we're not going to have some of the costs
There's
come
gonna be
down to the
something. I
local
agree with
taxpayers, we're putting our heads in the sand, and we think
There's
that.
going to be something.
Why I say now is not the time to bond large expenditures.
Well, that's what I guess that's what I'm bringing it up. I just, you have concerns with the homeowners in town, and we have quite a few foreclosures in town, and I think this is just going to add more pressure to them to try to keep their head above the water, and especially with the fuel costs that we have out there right now.
I agree with you.
It's, people just trying to get to work are having a hard time putting fuel in their tank. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention, that's what the estimate was, the last one they came
I
out
have
with.
to listen to them. Trust me, I
Yeah.
know.
Well, not everybody does, though. Not everyone hears that.
I had to turn it off. I can't stand listening to some of them. Oh, did I say that out loud? On tape?
Reportedly.
Okay. All right, does anybody else have any questions in regards to the financials?
Uh-oh, Katina's not here. Who's going to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
I have a second. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I want to thank the selectmen for coming and joining us and being part of our little non-public session tonight. I really appreciate it.
I just looked at the clock.
Thanks, Joe.
No idea. There has to be some.
Thanks. Yeah, it's already, it's almost expended.
I know. Oh, you bet.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Joe.
Thank you very much.
But I wanted to show you this right here.
I got home and I have like 15 minutes, and I headed over here.
I had a meeting last night.
All right, we shall.
Yeah.
Planning board starts at 6:30. But I eat all this candy, so I don't lose weight.
He needs to lose weight. I'm the one that keep trying to move it out of my way, and it keeps coming closer.
The heat was there.
Oh, I had it.
And that's the problem.
So I have to read all these RSAs. People look
Yeah,
at me
but right
like
here.
I'm crazy because they're reading RSAs.
It's hard, though, because it is, because you want to know, I remember.
Well, I've done a lot of budget.
Right here.
And then the law is...
61 electric supplier.
Auto shut off.
It was here, it was somewhere. It was under detail that he sent us in
And that was, I guess,
What I'll do is
run our company.
I'll do,
Budgeting for us is a very...
general building expense.
because no recorders around on the non-public, I do just basic
Isn't that awful? I can't find it now.
general.
High or